Hi guys, and welcome back to another week of Cos-Say. Today I'm here with Tessa, aka I don't know how to pronounce your
Ariem or ariem cosplay. So,
cool.
yes,
What does that actually mean?
okay, so it has no meaning. It's not an actual word. It's my middle name that I jumbled into a bunch of letters.
Fun.
Take the most common middle name in the world, Marie, and just jumble it up, and that's what I came up with. And
That's
then I
actually
had
really
to
creative.
see as a child named Ari, so I'm like, oh yeah, this works perfectly. So
That's really creative. Awesome. Well, that was apparently my official first question, but now let's actually jump into it. So, when did you first start cosplaying?
Okay, so I started. It depends on what you define cosplay. Different people define it as different things. So as far I look at it as like, okay, when did you actively start looking like instead of going to a Halloween store, picking up a costume and putting it on? I mean, technically everyone would have started as trick-or-treaters, but when I first started calling it cosplay, I was about 13 years old, and my parents didn't really get it. It wasn't mainstream yet. It was about, what year was it? It was probably around 2012, around then. And I had begged my mom for my birthday and Christmas present to get me a Zero Kiryu cosplay offline, and it wasn't going to come until after Halloween. And so I just sort of, bought a little cheap silver wig off Amazon, put that on without a wig cap, and you can imagine how that must have been, because I didn't know those were a thing. Uh, Tried to put on eyeliner, which I had never worn before, despite being like 13, and just went out for Halloween in like a white, like button-up shirt and some black slacks, and I called that my Zero cosplay until I got my actual cosplay. And then I kind of took a break for a few years until I was 16, and then I started to pursue it way more and started getting a few things offline and tried again. So
So, you've been cosplaying for like roughly 8 years?
roughly, yeah, with a 3-year hiatus in there.
Okay. So, over this 8 year and 3 year hiatus, how many cosplays do you think that you've done?
Oh no. um, well, the problem I had in the beginning is I fell in love with one character, and then I would gather the closet of that cosplay. Like every single outfit they had, I would try and do because I just got so connected and committed to the character. It's like I don't really want to start with a new one, and I had a fear of styling wigs. So
Yeah.
it's like if I just stick with one, then I can focus on the costume and never care about a wig again. But um gosh, just off the top of my head, I have to say there has to be at least 20. There has to be. Like, a lot of them are repeat characters, but I mean, I did Italia back in the day, and I had England's Revolutionary War outfit. I had his chibi outfit. I had his pirate outfit. I had his cannon outfit. I had his angel, his devil. I had so many. His Gakuen, like, school uniform. And then when I went into my hero later on, I'm like, guess what I'm not gonna do? Get the closet cosplay for this character. Well, it happened anyway. I have like so many Deku outfits. I'm like, all right, it's happening again. So,
So, do you have like a favorite one that you've done or that you're most proud of?
um, I want to say my favorite one I've done is definitely my hero suit Deku because I crunched that in one weekend. At least the first draft, and I really pursued my idea of never settle. Because a lot of the time when I had more of a limited wallet, I would, I'd mess up on something and then I'd just accept it as is instead of taking it apart, fixing it, because I had no patience. I'd go buy more fabric and try it. And, it's just, I didn't have the finances for that. I didn't have a job until I was 18. But um, my the one I'm proudest of is actually my Pirate England, and I never really call it finished because I'm constantly adding things to
Mm-hmm.
it. And I've had that one since I was 18. I made that one when I was 18, and I've just been adding to it for the past 5 years. So it was probably one of my more expensive ones, but as a history major in university, like that's my favorite one. That's the one I'm the most proud of because I'm like, I did so much research into that one
That's really
and it
cool.
came out on it. So,
On the other side of the spectrum, do you have one that you're like the least proud of, or that doesn't really, I don't know, like top it for you?
I have a few. I mean, I've done. The problem with me is I say yes to a lot of things, and a lot of my friends, and then including my sister, we all have, cosplays that she'll want to do one, and then she'll include me in her group, or it's just one of those things. I want to say my least favorite one is actually my Sailor Scout Buttercup, which is actually very, very popular amongst like male followers. But it's just unless I'm wearing her to a convention, I think I've worn her twice, and I won't wear her for TikToks. I won't wear her anywhere else. I'm just like, it's not. I don't know. I don't really connect to it.
Yeah.
At all. And she's painful to wear. My foot was hurt for 3 months after wearing those heels, which is my fault. But I normally can't walk properly anyway, so it took significantly longer to heal, and it's just I wasn't vibing with it. I couldn't bring myself to be excited when I would wear it. It's just like, oh cool, I get to match my girlfriend and my sister, but making it wasn't fun, but wearing it wasn't fun. Just I tend to wear a lot of male identifying character cosplays because I get grabbed a lot in female cosplays, and that one definitely shows a lot more skin than I'm used to, and I'm like, So
Yeah, sorry about that. That doesn't sound like fun.
no.
Um, back to you said you made a Pirate England, is that what you said? Did you like hand make all of the pieces for it?
Yes. The one thing I didn't make for it was I had bought the base of the tricorn hat, but everything else I had completely done on my own. Oh, and then the sword. I didn't do the sword. I just bought that off Amazon. But no, everything. I made the pants. I made the sashes. I hand did those. I hand did the stitches and embroidery and details on the pirate coat. I completely embellished the hat. I made some little molds out of clay because I can't do resin for a lot of the, pendants and stuff. The cravat I made completely on my own. I made the shoulder pads, the epaulets. A lot of people are like, how'd you do that? I'm like, I don't know. I sewed some cardboard to some fabric and then glued the edge around, and it looks okay. So, and they're like, what? No. And I'm like, no, it's just cardboard, and my machine was able to sew through it. So that's what I did. And I have never.
So, your sewing skills, were they something that you picked up for cosplay, or were they something that you had before?
I actually had no interest in sewing really before cosplay, but I did. I didn't just learn how to sew just for cosplay. I had actually had a childhood friend. I was the loner who had one single friend from kindergarten to 6th grade. And I don't know if you've ever heard of the American Girl dolls.
Yep.
18-inch dolls. So we had Felicity and Elizabeth, right? And we had those dolls, and we looked so much like them, so we wanted to make their dresses. So 12-year-old her and her mom would sew costumes for like these shows at churches and stuff. And she had 2 sewing machines, so we learned how to sew for that. And I really enjoyed it. And according to her, I was a natural at the machine. And it's not putting her daughters down at all. Like, they even admit, oh, we had no interest in this whatsoever, but I really enjoyed the process of making it. And then my mom, I started cosplaying in 2012, but that, after 2008, and how money was really, really tight, these costumes online, like my Zero cosplay, the first one I got it was $110 with the shipping, which is way more than my mom would ever spend. So I had to use my Christmas and birthday, and it completely fell apart when I got it. It was so poorly stitched. So we thought that by getting a used sewing machine, mine is used and I've been using it forever, by getting a machine and some fabric, it would be cheaper. Not necessarily, but that's what we had thought and we had hoped. And then I'm like, okay, well, if I want to continue cosplaying and my mom won't buy me these cosplays and my dad never shops online, we're gonna sew them. So if I wanted to pursue cosplay, I had to learn to sew.
Oh, that's pretty cool, though.
Yeah.
Are there any other skills that you picked up for cosplay, or that helps you with cosplay?
I picked up wig styling for cosplay. I have no interest in working with synthetic hair at all. I've taken so many makeup courses because I want to use them in my career path, but I hate working with the synthetic with the crepe hair when we're doing facial. I have no interest, but I had to learn to style wigs for cosplay because I would find myself critiquing my own wigs so hard and saying, okay, I want to do it like that person, but that person has experience, so I need to get that experience. And then, you know, makeup, I had no interest in ever wearing makeup throughout high school or anything. But I hated how my first convention makeup was for England, and this is gold right here. It was orange foundation on my face. It was the wrong, like overdone, wrong placement of bronzer and contour. Really bad, like green tinted highlight and some purple tinted highlight here and there. No primer on the eyelids, and the eyeliner would transfer throughout the day. That kind of makeup. So I'm like, I need to get a little better at this. And I'm really, really pale, so you could see the difference because I wouldn't even bring it down to my neck. I'd end it right here. I have some great I have one photo on my Instagram, and I have a few friends who are still convinced that is not me. I'm like, no, that's how I start.
Was that your first convention?
Yeah.
What convention was that?
It was Anime Expo 2013. I was 16 years old. No interest in wearing makeup. There were 10-year-olds at the time who could do better makeup than me. And so I'm like, okay, I need to learn how to do this, and how to start looking up tutorials and everything, how to adapt my own makeup style with everything. So
yeah,
that I had to learn for cosplay because I had no interest in it whatsoever.
That's awesome, though. On that same note, so your first convention was Anime Expo 2013, is what you said?
Yeah.
So how many conventions do you think that you've been to from that one to now?
I've gone to Anime Expo nearly every year since 2013, except for, you know, this past year due to, you know, COVID. And there was another year, I think it was 2016, where I only went for a day because I had just gotten my first job. And, you know, I didn't want to, on the first week, be like, I'm out. I have a thing I have to go to. I had no vacation time and didn't want to, you know, soil my reputation yet. So I've gone, that's roughly 6 anime expos, 5 or 6 of those, and then 4 ALAs, and 2 anime Californias, and then like 1 or 2 random ones in there. So closer to 15, maybe 20. I can't do math. So.
What's the last one you went to?
The last one I went to is Anime Los Angeles, ALA. It was 2020. It's a January con. So
lucky. It's
my favorite con, but it sucks that it's like that's the con that introduces in the state of California the beginning of con season, and immediately shut down before our next one could happen. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, at least I got to go to my favorite one.
Yeah. So. Do you have like any like special memories that you've made at cons that have just like stuck with you and such?
I don't really know. Like one of the ones that used to be my favorite isn't my favorite anymore because of all the stuff that came out about a certain voice actor that I had idolized as a child, and then found out, you know, a lot of shady stuff about them. But when I had met this person, I was actually crying, and my friend caught it on camera, and that was a really magical moment for me because like I've been waiting to meet this person for 4 years. And that was the only reason I wanted to go to a convention in the first place. Wasn't to cosplay. It was to meet this person. And I kept missing him every single time.
Oh.
So after 4 years, I was just bawling. And I didn't even wear makeup that day because I knew I might cry. So I'm a big crybaby. So I'm like, I think I might have worn foundation, but I was not wearing any eye makeup. I didn't even put on a wig. I was just like, no, today's not going to be the day for this.
Yeah. On the opposite side of that, you said that in your Sailor, what was her name again?
It was a Sailor Buttercup, so it's Powerpuff Girls and Sailor Moon.
That's so cool. You said that you were grabbed a lot at conventions. do you like have any advice on how to avoid that or how to educate so that we can avoid that?
Um, well, unfortunately, the bad news is you can't really prevent it from happening. In the sense of like, there's always going to be someone out there who feels entitled to someone else. Um, the best response is to assert yourself instead of allowing it to happen. So, actually, one of my biggest experiences is with that cosplay, and one of the reasons why I don't like it. So, as said, I can't really walk normally. I have asymmetrical hips, so it causes a lot of walking problems. And then I wore these shoes that I didn't break in before the con, right? They were 4-inch pin heels. And I was smart and brought some flip-flops with me, but my sister did not bring her flip-flops, and she had worn heels the day before and that day, so I gave them to her. So I was stuck in these pin heels for 15 hours.
Yeah.
And I was walking with a friend in the exhibit hall. And for those who know me, I wear glasses normally. In cosplay, I just take them off. And at the time, I still can't afford the contacts that have your prescription in them. They're significantly more expensive. So my eyesight was not the best. I'm walking with my friend, and I feel from behind me someone wrap their fingers around my arm, and I have very slender arms, and yank me back and say, "Can I have a picture with you?" And I'm stumbling to get back, on my feet. And I said, I didn't give you permission to grab me, so no. Until you learn to be a decent human being, no. And you can always, say no. I know there's this fear that, saying no will make things worse, in which case you don't have to say anything. If you want to pose for the photo, yeah, you can always shake your head. Buddy system's always good. As far as being grabbed in other places inappropriately, you can always notify police. I had a friend who was being filmed inappropriately when she was in a skin-tight suit. So he was following her with a camera, right? This camera was pointed at her behind, and she noticed it. And instead of turning to him, she actually walked him right up to the police officer at the convention. So you don't have to always say anything. You don't have to be confrontational. I'm very confrontational, but the most important thing is to not let things slide. Always assume the worst. When I wore that outfit, I knew that going up escalators was going to be a pain in the butt because they're really short skirts. So I wore some dance shorts underneath. They were nude ones, and then I also had a black pair, and I also made sure that my other Sailor Scout Powerpuff Girls also bought matching, the white top for the bodysuit, get something white underneath so it looks like a bodysuit, So then it will be a little less weird and less for them to capture on camera or whatever. That's sort of my best advice. You can't really stop it from happening because there's always going to be people out there. You can't make a big megaphone announcement, but you can always be confrontational with the outcome.
That's actually a really good answer. Thank you. Sorry if that was a little bit personal. It's just,
Good. I'm like, how do I answer this? Because, I don't want to say don't wear girly cosplays because I like wearing some every once in a while. You shouldn't be responsible for what you're wearing ever, So it's just there's always going to be people out there who feel entitled, and just stand your ground.
Yeah. Despite some of the negatives that come with cosplaying, what inspires or motivates you to keep going?
I think the main thing is, as selfish as it sounds, my own personal passion is definitely number one. I have to enjoy what I'm doing, and I have to want to do what I'm doing. I can't do it for anyone else as my main reason for cosplaying. So my passion first and foremost, my love for the characters first and foremost, my desire to get better for myself is definitely number one. Number two is to inspire others. And one of the biggest compliments I can get is when someone says, "You inspired me to do this character," or "I used your tutorial to do this," or "I wouldn't have thought about doing this way. This whole project is so much easier because of that advice." Or just being able to show other people. When I was in middle school, which is when I heard of cosplay, there were anime and manga and the whole everything that we're doing now was not mainstream. It was almost unheard of. No one knew what you were talking about. The word cosplay wasn't even defined on Urban Dictionary yet. It was so new. And there wasn't really anyone I could talk to. I saw these pictures of amazing people from Japan online, but it's not like I could talk to them and figure out how to do things. There were a few tutorials online, but they weren't anything that would help me.
Yeah.
And I really want to contribute to the knowledge that is now being put into the cosplay community and to help spread that positivity and show people that you don't need to be ashamed for what you do. I was bullied a lot in high school for wearing cosplays on certain spirit days and on Halloween and for liking anime in general. And, it's like after high school, it doesn't matter how many times people say it. I didn't even listen to it. The whole, high school's just a couple years, it won't matter. But when you're in high school, it does matter.
Yeah.
And you need to not be ashamed of yourself, because you just need to focus on your own happiness. Because if you look back on high school afterwards and say, I really wasn't living to who I was, you're not going to be happy. And that's something that really upsets me when I look back, is I was so afraid of what people thought of me, especially in the beginning, that once senior year came around, I'm like, you know what, F it, I'm going to be me. I'm going to do what makes me happy. As long as it won't get me in trouble, I'm going to do what I can do. And, once high school ended, I actually had a few friends from high school who weren't friends with me before. I'm going to start with it. This is a really long answer, I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
One of the biggest, almost sweetest forms of karma I've ever had. It wasn't so much a revenge thing in the mean way, but I had a very well-known bully on school who was the one starting the rumors about, I don't even hear the rumors, but just a whole bunch of getting everyone to turn against me kind of thing. And I went to WonderCon 2 years ago, right, in cosplay. And she came up to me in one of the places I never would have expected to ever see her. I'd never seen her since high school. And she was, hi, how are you? And she was all in cosplay. She had started to love the same thing that she used to make fun of me for. And I actually, one of my other close friends said, doesn't that bother you? And I'm like, no, I'm happy that they understand why I loved it back then. And so it was really good karma to see that, what goes around comes around, and you can accept it in different ways. So, what just happened? Did that door close on its own?
No, I live with my sister and she walked in.
I saw a door and I'm like, what is that?
She's gonna crawl on the floor, so you're just gonna see the door open and just yeah, anyway.
But yeah, interesting karma. So I do it, I try not to look for the negative and everything, but that was a negative that turned into a positive later, and I always remember that. So
That's really awesome. On the same note as living up to who you are, what do you think makes you unique as a cosplayer?
I'm not really sure. I mean, everyone wants to be, unique in their own way. And granted, I don't sit here and try and copy a whole bunch of other people all the time. But it's just, I think it's personality. It's your own, I think one of the things that really, really makes me unique in a sense is I actually try to find the most cost-effective way to making a lot of my cosplays, and sometimes even depending on how much I love the character, I will always try to find a way to make it myself. So 90% of the cosplays on my page, they're all made by me. I'll occasionally buy something every now and then because I'm like, I'm too lazy for this, to be honest, or this is why would I spend $90 making the exact same thing that's going for $40? But there are things like Deku's hero suit where it's I wanted to make that myself. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, there is something very toxic in the cosplay community where a lot of people are I don't want to share my secrets of how I created this. Or when you ask for help with a wig, they're extremely vague about how they did it because they don't want you copying them.
Yeah.
And it's you know what? That's not going to help someone learn. And I try to, put out as much of my information as I can out there. When I did my Deku suit, I would post, pictures of how I was doing it. Or I tell them where I get this foam or this spray paint or what would work and what doesn't. I explain things. So I think that's a unique trait. I just don't think it's unique to me specifically, because more and more people are starting to do that, and that's a good thing. So
Yeah. On the same note as that question, what do you want to be known for as a cosplayer?
um I'm not sure. I never really thought of myself as what I want to be known for specifically, because I don't think that's something within my control.
Mm-hmm.
um I look at cosplay as a hobby and something to grow my experience as a costume designer, because that is something I want to be when I grow. And it's a little outlet for that, because it's not like I have the time to go to theaters with a full-time job and full-time school and, learn those things. So I would just channel things into identifying, looking at something on TV that I've only seen a few times and try to replicate it. But sometimes I would be known for a specific character. Um, Sometimes I would be known, for how open I've been with other people, for kindness, and those are all positive things.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, I just don't want to be known as someone who's hurt people, who intimidates people, who, views themselves on a pedestal. So I have no real desire to be known for a specific thing, just specific thing that I work towards not being known for. Not to say that I am those things.
Yeah.
And like hiding it. Don't look over here, look over here. No, it's more of, look, I need to make sure I don't become that person.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like one of those things where I have a few friends who watched me grow from 1,000 to 5,000 to almost 20K, and they're like, oh yeah, you have a lot of followers. I'm like, it's a page. It's like, you have to realize that page could disappear overnight. Sure, it'll be devastating. You lose all your work. It'll suck.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's like, you need to focus on who you are without the page.
Yeah.
So that's my focus all the time.
Awesome. Those are all of the questions that I have planned, but we can do that speed round.
Okay. I literally tossed my phone over here.
It's okay. I have the questions too. Okay. So a lot of people ask, where do you get your wigs?
So I get mine a mixture of places. So as cheap as it sounds, the more I'm going to wear a character, the more sturdy I want the wig.
Mm-hmm.
So with Deku, I actually didn't get Deku's wig. My girlfriend got him for me, and it's a Hansel. I don't know what green. I'll have to ask her, but she's like in the other room, so it's kind of tempting. And but now I think Arda has already labeled it as Deku green, but I don't know what green it is. And it's a Hansel style, and I got it from Arda. I got my APH England wig off Arda. It's an dark ash blonde. And then I think my Todoroki wig was actually a Morvali wig from Amazon. And it's a really good wig. I really enjoy it. I just don't wear Todoroki that often. That isn't to say it's a shitty wig, though. But, it's not a bad wig. I've gotten maybe 2 wigs I didn't like, that the wefts were too far apart,
Mm-hmm.
And especially if it's a white wig, then it's like, okay. My 100% Deku wig, that was actually from Wish. It was a $12 wig off Wish.
Oh, wow.
And then my Russia cosplay, which is, I call it my joke cosplay from Italia. I had a bunch of people, even though I'd worn England for years, since I was 16. Last year I had a lot of people say, you should cosplay Russia. And I'm like, I'm not spending money on a character I don't really care for. But then another one of my friends said, hey, I'm giving away this Russia coat. Do you want it? I'm like, sure, I'll take it. I mean, I guess. And then I had the gloves already because, for England, they're the same gloves, essentially. And I'm like, all right, so all I need is a wig, because I have a white scarf. So I went on to Wish and bought a $4 wig. And it works. And it's a really nice wig. The wefts are nice and tight. And I'm like, I'm actually kind of surprised by this. So I take risks with my wigs. But if you really want one that's really sturdy for styling, that's heat resistant, I always go with Arda. And I'm also really liking, why am I forgetting the name of it? It's another wig. My girlfriend knows it too. I got my Roxanne wig from Wigs of Fashion, and I'm forgetting the name of that other wig website. I'm like tempted to get her, but I will come back to that. I will message her right now.
Do you want to move on to the next question while you get that answer?
Yeah.
Cool. So, let's do this in order, or out of order, I guess technically. So, where do you get? Somebody asked, where do you get your cosplays?
Yeah. So as most of them I actually make. There are a few I get from Amazon, like the Deku gym uniform, the PE. That was from Amazon. I'm pretty sure, at least my girlfriend got it for me, but I think she got hers off Amazon as well. I got the I think it was also a Wish cosplay. I get a lot of stuff from Wish.
Mm-hmm.
The school uniform, the UA school uniform, that was from Wish. His hero suit, I made that. I made Pirate England. Generally, if you find something that has a lot of texture on it, which is something I really put into cosplays because I'm obsessed with texture, that's something I've made the majority of the time. I really like cosplay food for buying, cosplays offline. I think that's it. Most of them are made. I think Kilawa's was a Kaza cosplay. The only thing I bought was the turtleneck.
Awesome.
So that's from Hunter x Hunter, but I only wore him once, so probably not really well known.
Yeah. Somebody asked, what is it like having friends who are also fans?
I don't really process it, is the main thing. So one of my favorite stories is I have really close-knit friends, Josie, Ace, and Adri. And they're really, really, really close friends. And I also have a friend named Kaylee as well. And Josie constantly tells me, retells the story, and I laugh at it every time. Like, if not out loud, then definitely internally. The way I met them was the most sporadic way that I could make an impression on someone. I don't know what was going on in my mind, but I had been walking around the artist alley at ALA. I found a little ring that was a burger. And I'm like, oh, this is perfect, right? And I didn't know, I'm really shy. It's like, as much as I love to cosplay and love to be around people, I'm very shy and I don't know how to get into a conversation. And I'm like, this is perfect. And my girlfriend looks at me, she's like, what are you doing? I'm like, just trust me, I got this. So I walk over to this table, and there's a bunch of Italia cosplayers sitting at this table, right? Including Josie, who was Hungary. My friend Adri was Romano, and then my friend Ace was just as America. And I'm like, this is perfect. So I proposed to them as England with the burger ring, right? And Josie, I wasn't paying attention to her at the time because I was like, I'm looking at this person doing the proposal, but she's sitting here, she's like, oh my god, that's the person who does the Ask England blog on Tumblr, oh my god. And then couldn't process that I was actually talking to them because I don't put myself in a position of, or at least I don't know, my brain doesn't process that I could be known anywhere around anything on the internet. So when someone recognized me, I'm like, what? Oh yeah, that I have that thing. Or oh yeah, I have that Instagram. Oh, that was my oh yeah, I forgot about that. I just don't process it. And so, it's cool. I think of my friend, I think friends should always support their friends' work, but I don't really see my friends as I think fans and friends are essentially the same thing. That's just how my brain processes it. I don't see it as sure, you may admire someone, but aren't you supposed to admire your friends? So it's just, I don't know. I don't process it. It doesn't come into my brain. It's two separate things. So
that's a really cool way of looking at it. The last question was, how do you pronounce that name?
It's a lot of people abbreviate my girlfriend's. Well, that's the answer to the question. My girlfriend's username, it's Chateau Rouge cosplay. It's a red cat cosplay. Basically, it's a French translation.
That's cool.
And that's because we took French in high school, and we cosplayed France and England. So she was known for her France cosplay. So her username had, some French twist to it, and she loves cats. And yeah, I guess it's one of those things where before the cosplay world, it makes sense that, that people would be confused about that. And it just, I guess, because Amber and I, that's her name, have been like close, joined at the hip since the very beginning of cosplay. So it's like, are they best friends or are they together? No, we've been together. We weren't together like as a couple until 2019. 2019, right? No, 2018. Sorry, 2020 is kind of eluding me.
What's 2020?
Yeah, it was like 2017, 2018, around then. So we've been together. It's going to be 4 years. I can't do the math right now. It's going to be 4 years next in April, whenever that is. But we were always together, and my thing was, number one, I didn't have any cosplay friends. It wasn't common, and the friends I did who liked anime weren't going to the convention that year.
Yeah.
Number two, I was still a minor. I was 16. My mom wanted the buddy system going on because she was just going to let us walk on our own. And this was Anime Expo. This is one of the top 10 biggest conventions in the world, and I think the top 5 in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
It's a huge convention. Back then, it was maybe 90,000 people were there, but the last time I went, it was upwards 130,000 people.
Yeah. Were
at the convention. So, and I needed her by my side, and I couldn't see because of contacts and not having the prescription. And at the time, very few people knew this or know this. I had strabismus. You're not born with it, but it's a condition in which one of your eyes, or both, will turn in or outward. It's also known as lazy eye. So it messes with your depth perception, which makes it even harder to see. So she was my second pair of eyes. So we were always near each other. I was always near her, and then we started dating in 2017, April.
That's super cute.
Yeah, it's like a lot of people don't know that because, we're not near each other. Well, there was a period where we weren't near each other because she was living in a different city than me, so. But, yeah, I get that a lot, and I was like, yes, we are.
Well, there it is, folks.
Seeing her kissing her, so.
So that's all the questions.
By the way.
What?
That's where wigs come from.
What was? Epic Cosplay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
They're good too.
So that's all the questions that I have and that we've collected. Do you have any advice for your fans or followers?
I mean, my biggest piece of advice is to never settle. Keep trying. The more you try, the better you'll get at it. Don't just sit here and say, oh, my cosplay's not as good as this person, and compare yourself to someone who's been cosplaying for 7 years, or someone who's been doing makeup forever and then just started cosplay, and you just started makeup for cosplay, and it's like a completely different experience level. So never settle, keep trying, and stop caring what other people think of you, because words kill, and they hurt, and they can destroy a passion, and it affects everybody. It doesn't stop when a cosplayer is, well known. In fact, I experienced an extreme influx of hate comments the more I was growing on social media. So it doesn't stop. So don't take those comments to heart, and assert what you're happy and proud of. So
awesome.
That's my advice.
Thank you. So do you want to just drop your social media?
Yeah, the best place to ever reach me or check out my work is my Instagram. It's ariem_cosplay. If you want to get really specific, there's a little judgy face. It's the ariem, then a period, and an underscore, and a period, and then cosplay. And then it's the same on TikTok, and then on Twitter, it's ariemcos. But my Twitter's more so of just sharing random stuff on the internet. So if you want to see my work, those other two are the best.
And all of that will be down in the description below, guys. So check that out. That's basically it for this week's episode. So bye!